show. I'm the sidekick.
That's my sidekick.
So the 900 is what you spend to live in the Philippines. And how much of that is your rent?
Our rent is 200. I like being near some sort of medical because I do have lupus and cancer. So I have my own medical condition. You know how they have chicken and waffles? I'm going to open up rabbits and donut shop. So everybody's tense in the United States. We both work long hours, difference between night and day when it comes to the Philippines.
I've traveled the Philippines. The farthest I've gone to is Leyte South. I haven't touched Mindanao, but everybody I've talked to, they always point here.
This is Dan of Vagabond Awake, and I have the pleasure today to have George and Heidi on the channel, and welcome you two.
It's great to be here.
Great to be here.
So, how did you two meet?
Oh boy. We met in Florida. I met George. We live near the Tampa area. So just seen him in a store. He was gassing up his car and there he was, and being super friendly to everybody. And we went out on a date and it just went from there. So we both met in Florida.
I talked to everybody.
And so how long have you been together?
It will be 3 years in August we'll be married.
Yeah.
So 3 years in August we've been married. We've known each other about 4 years.
Okay. And so right now, where are you sitting? What part of the world?
Mabalacat, right near Angel City. We're about 1.5 miles away, near Dow.
No.
Okay. So you're in the area where the Clark Air Force Base used to be, right?
George actually was just temporarily in the U.S. I mean, he was there for a few years, but he's born and raised in Angel City, and he went to college here, and he has family here. His brother's a doctor, and so he's been here for quite some time, and he was here during Mount Pinatubo.
Oh, wow. The big eruption.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's how you two ended up in the Philippines. Neither one of you looks young enough to be retired.
Right. So it's Social Security disability. It's not. It's I worked at a television studio for over 10 years. I've had a lot of careers. I'm a hairdresser, master chef. I've done a lot of things in my lifetime. And so I had earned my disability. I have lupus and a few other medical conditions that, cancer and a few other things that have made me sick. And so I decided to take my Social Security, and George, being he's worked long enough, he will collect his later.
Okay. So so that's how you're able to retire early, if you will. Lived in the Philippines and in the US, the two of you. Any other thoughts about other countries, or just let's go back to where George is from, or what were your thoughts?
Well, George lived quite some time in the US. He was what was your status? Permanent residence?
Yeah, I was a permanent resident alien, yes.
And he was born and raised here. We stayed in Mexico for 6 months. So we drove into Mexico. When we left Florida, we drove into Mexico when nobody was supposed to cross the border. So they let us in because we were YouTubers. We drove in, and that was last February. We stayed there about 6 months, and then we've been here a year now. I've been in here, and this is George's return after a couple of years. I've been all over the world, first time in Asia. So I've been to Germany, France, England, Scotland, of course, Mexico, Canada. So I've traveled, but George has been to Japan. We want to go to Japan probably next Christmas, not this Christmas. So
right.
Actually, you said you want to go to Thailand too.
I want to go to Thailand too. I'm interested on Thailand to visit. So basically, between the Social Security and YouTube, you know how it pays for the smaller micro channels. We do about $1,500 a month. So, and that includes the lives and everything. Well, all together with our Social Security. So not $1,500 from YouTube, but it's but a couple hundred a month. We just got monetized in February. So we've been doing it about 1.5 years.
And you just answered another question. So your budget's around $1,500.
Right. And we've done a few budget videos, and let's see, it's give or take about 12 is what we're living on right now. But that's with extra money, eating out. That's with that's where we put a couple hundred in the savings. I still pay for my insurance in Florida. We have Phil Health here, which hardly costs anything, but it's not much coverage. So I'm relying on what we have in our savings account for self-pay, which I do self-pay down at the hospital here. And so we do okay. We put everything away, but compared to Mexico, I think we were living on $200 and something. Like our rent
Oh my
was only
gosh.
100, really cheap
Not
in
even
Mexico. And we
Wow.
lived out in the mountains here with all of our utilities, water and everything, between 300 and 400 US a month without food. So, but it's really inexpensive here, and we're happy to be here because things are astronomical in Florida right now. Our son's paying $2,200 for one bedroom in Clearwater.
Crazy. So a lot of numbers there. Right now, what is your budget roughly in the Philippines where you are?
With with savings, 300. We're spending about 900 a month for groceries and electric, and we feed some cats. If we add in our savings, it puts us close to 1,200 with insurance.
Okay.
So,
And that's your
yeah, so
PhilHealth
really our
insurance,
yes.
which is, I recall it's only like $50 or 40 or
Something, I think we guesstimate is $40 to $50 a month. So we just paid for the year up front.
and that just gets you a card where you can get in the hospital if something happens, right?
I think it's 30% is the coverage. So here's the deal. Being George didn't have PhilHealth, I had to apply for PhilHealth as an expat and meet the requirements, and he had to join me. So if the spouse has a prior, if the spouse has their own insurance when they meet, then they just stay on their own program. So now I guess he's officially been added to mine. We went to Angel City, and they'll be sending us the card. So about 30% coverage. So basically we're just paying just through Clark Medical Center down by the base is where I go, and it's really inexpensive for everything. So
Okay.
medicines, that includes medicines too. I probably spend about 100 US, all of it over the counter. So
Right.
that's, a little bit of heart pills, a little bit of pain medicine. So it's still all in that $900 amount.
All in at 900. And the additional money goes towards your insurance in Florida to bring it up over to 1,200?
Well, I put some savings. We put like 200 or more away each month just on the side to add to the savings that we brought. So like, if I needed help, I would fly to Guam, try to prepare if I needed heart surgery. I currently need like knee surgery. Many years ago, I was a neurological nurse, stood a lot of years. So I do need knee replacement, but I'm not to that point where I can't walk or have any issues. And so, but if I need help, I'll go to Guam. So I do keep my Medicare. So that's already taken out. They take that out automatically. So I still get over 12. It's almost $1,250 a month is what mine is.
Okay. So the 900 is what you spend to live in the Philippines, and the additional amount is what you're trying to put aside per month.
Correct.
So if somebody just straight up said, what is your cost of living in Angeles, not including exterior factors?
Groceries, everything, about $9 is what we're spending.
And how much of that is your rent?
Our rent is $200.
Okay. Wow, that's great. You guys are doing well.
And this is a two-bedroom. This is a two-bedroom here. We have like a full like a garage, like where we're gated in and everything. So we're not in a subdivision. We live among the locals here. It's fairly a nice neighborhood here. We're down by the college.
Okay.
And so we're almost down at SM on MacArthur Highway. And then we have where like a business can be run out here. There used to be a noodle shop with tables and everything. So we could start a business if we wanted to down the road. We do have our licensing where he's licensed for Mendoza Productions. So we do that for the YouTube and for the social media we produce. But we even have where we can open up my rabbits and donut shop. You know how they have chicken and waffles? I'm gonna open up rabbits and donut shop.
Okay.
Fried rabbit on donuts.
Oh, you put it on top of the donut.
Right, kind of like chicken and waffles. So I would fry the rabbit up like chicken, and then I'm gonna make homemade sugar donuts, and you put it on top there with a wasabi, maple syrup, something like that. I always joke with George.
It tastes better than it sounds.
Okay, well, let us know if that happens. That's an interesting concept. So one of the things people are always curious about is what's the friendliness factor? When you're in the Philippines versus Florida, do you feel like people are more friendly in the Philippines, or are they more friendly in Florida?
That's that the Philippines is like the 80s, and being in a summer camp. I went to summer camp every year in Ohio. I'm born and raised in Ohio. Went to Ohio State University, and it's everybody is super friendly here, almost passive friendly, like being in Jamaica, Hawaii. Everybody's on island time. So it's a big adjustment for me, but I'm happy because when we left Florida, it was like everybody was at each other's throat. We understand it was during COVID, but it had been like that for a few years. So everybody's tense in the United States. We both worked long hours before we went to Mexico and then came here. So it's a difference between night and day when it comes to the Philippines.
Philippines
Lots of
wins in friendliness then. Yeah.
Very
that's-
friendly.
Yeah, we hear that over and over again, and I've experienced it myself. You say you have a YouTube channel. It's probably something you should share with the audience if they'd like to stop by and see what trouble you two are up to.
Yeah, that's what we do. We're a different channel because, of course, I would say there's probably less than 5-10% are female expats here in the Philippines, probably even less.
Yeah.
And so we have a different thing because we keep it real. I keep it real. I kind of put certain situations on the spot, and you have George is funny, and we really do get along like this all day long. It's Philippine Antics, so we are an expat help channel, and we get lots of emails and a lot of people through Facebook. So we just do social media all the way across the platform, including TikTok. So about 21,000 followers on TikTok.
Wow, that's great. And
Not big like you, but we're big fans of you, by the way. We've been watching you since Florida for a while.
Yeah, we were in Mexico before this trip to the Philippines too. So questions, as you probably do too, from single females sometimes, and they say, is it safe for a single woman to travel in Mexico or into the Philippines, this kind of thing? And so how do you answer that question?
I feel it's safe. I didn't have no problems going out on my own. I mean, I got, believe it or not, a little bit of shyness in me, but the people are so friendly in Mexico. They're so friendly here. We just did a couple videos back about the safety in the United States or Europe, and I've been in a lot of Europe and compared. I feel it's very safe in either country. I just feel the Philippines is I think there's a lot more. It depends on how the girls want to come here, if they want a lot of expat friends. I did find the language barrier harder in Mexico. George translated because he spoke with a lot of our employees. So there's a language barrier in Mexico, and that was my biggest, we thought about staying, and their immigration's a little tougher in my book on our situation. But it's the language barrier for Mexico, but everybody was friendly and they still are. So I think it's safe.
Yeah, you raised a good point. Mexico has been getting tougher on their immigration policy, and the Philippines have kept the same program they've had for years. So George, are you near your stomping grounds from years ago? Are you?
Yeah, I have a good knowledge of the area, even past this area. But of course, it's been years, so there are some changes, but we can adapt.
Yeah.
So do you think is it in your mind that some of these stops you're going to make around the Philippines, if you fall in love with one of them, you might move, or are you pretty much set on being an entry?
It's a possibility, but I feel each one of them have more possible cons that I'm willing to deal with. So I like being near some sort of medical, because I do have lupus and cancer. So I have my own medical condition. These I just found out before I actually left. So I have skin cancer that's everywhere. And I have a severe case of lupus that affects all my organs. So I need to be close somewhere. So Manila's out of the question. Dumaguete, to me, they lose too much power. George knows the areas. I think we said if we were going to move somewhere, it'd be Davao possibly in the future.
I've traveled the Philippines. The farthest I've gone to is Leyte South. I haven't touched Mindanao, but I've frequented a lot of areas. So I'm very familiar with the pluses and minuses of each area. And of course, they're all change. But I do always ask people who I meet, like, has this changed? Has it gone better? For the most part, again, everybody I've talked to, they always point here.
There's just, like with that last storm that came through, that typhoon, there was hardly anything that happened to this area. It's well protected. So I'm kind of a big baby when it comes to storms, and I'm from Florida and survived a lot of big ones, but lots of big winter storms, and maybe Davao, or maybe we talked about,
Oh, Baguio?
yeah, forget about Baguio. I seen how they take them crazy buses around the mountain. I said, yeah, I'll pass. And the traffic is crazy, so we don't drive.
Well, not to mention Baguio it's cold and has high humidity, and just came from Mexico, so she just experienced that, and
It's bad as far as like breathing. I'll start to get some occasional breathing. So there's too much moisture. I've seen how it sticks to the wall and things mold really quick like Florida. So we're really happy here. I think we're planting ourselves right here. And
One thing we've noted, we haven't traveled maybe as much as George, but we've been around the Philippines quite a bit. And one of the things we noticed about where you are is the food choices seem to be more diverse. The international and the local foods, and just a lot of different food and excellent foods there.
there is, this area is well known for its food. They have food tours. Some of the big foodies have been here that are on Food Network and some of these other channels. Yeah. So Mark Ween, I think is his last name. I just know him by Mark. It's there's a lot of great food choices and unusual food choices. And after Mexico and some of the pizza, I'm glad to see like Biggie's Pizza up the street that does the brick oven pizza. I'm a big pizza fan. They got and I was glad to see Domino's again after Mexico. So, because we live more out in the mountain, and there was only one or two, which they did pretty good, the one place, but kind of like here, some of the food got to be sweet or spicy. So I'm, something's too hot, then I call it white girl spicy. So I just just a little bit of spice, please. So, but that didn't happen in Mexico. So,
yeah. I brought her goat's feet the other day.
He brought me goat's feet the other day. He brought me a bag of goat's feet and gravy or something. And I smelled the bag and I'm like, oh my God, what is this? He said, oh, goat's feet. No.
Good.
No. Has he brought you the is it duck egg that yet? Or?
Yeah, the balut. He did that. I have one of those. I like the beginning of our TikTok a year ago. He did that, and no, I that's just a no. And I'm a foodie too, but I like animals too. I don't mind having my bacon and a few other things like that, but the fur and the crunch of the bones and how they slurp the water out of it, I'll pass. But I told him when I hit 100,000 subscribers, I might consider it. So I just, so we're kind of
somebody.
We're talking about 5 years. I ain't even worried about it. So maybe in 5 years.
That's great. That's great. So what do you think? It hasn't been that long yet, but do you think long term you'd be able to stick it out there, or what are your thoughts?
So the biggest thing for me was the weather. I don't have a problem. I do complain more to him about the weather than anything. Some days I do good, and then we had like this heat wave a few days ago where no matter what you did, you were sticky, and it felt like I was drowning myself in baby powder, which I never even used in Florida. And so even when a Filipino says it's hot, that's pretty bad. So on the occasion we'll hear him say, oh man, it's hot. And I'm like, oh man, I knew it was hot. But we do okay. So the weather is a little bit of my problem. You do have to adjust to the culture a little bit again. Like today, we were going to go do a few things, and George is like, "It's lunchtime. Nobody's going to be there." So it's kind of like Mexico. You have to
immigration.
Oh, immigration went to lunch for an hour and a half. When we went to the mall, we got delayed by something that happened, and as soon as we got there, we had to go wait. So we just went and got something to eat.
Yeah, lunch shut down.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't like Social Security where you can just actually, one person's there and it slows down. No, they shut the entire place down here. So it's but no, we're definitely going to stay. We're actually planted here. We had sent a few Vagabond boxes, and we have family here. So intention is to stay. So
very cool.
Just travel Asia some.
Well, it's been a pleasure chatting with you too, and I'll look forward to chatting with you guys sometime in the future again.
If you're ever in town, stop by.
Yeah, stop by, Dan. Thank you so much.
I'll make you some.
Appreciate you.
Make some coconut bangus.
I'll bring you some goat's feet.
Hey, if you liked our video, please like, comment, or subscribe. Any of that would help our business. Thanks so much.
Thank you so much.
Plus, grab a free copy of my ebook, How I Fired My Boss and Traveled the World for 13 Years. While you're there, check out our catalog of retired cheap reports all over the world and our hobby income course that we just released. Thanks so much.
Be sure to check out Philippine Antics merch shop.
They have a different design every 30 to 60 days. They've got women's shirts, they got men's shirts, they got hats, pajamas, cups, accessory cases. Check them out. They make great gifts. Find yourself some pajamas and t-shirts and travel around the world. And stay tuned to Vagabond Awake and Philippine Antics.
Tell you that I love you 100 times a day. You'll get tired of my voice. That's how much I'm gonna tell you that I miss you.